She pulled out all the stops. Here is the intro of the episode.
Megyn, Duchess of Sussex, in her first ever podcast interview. It's happening!
It's not about the grandeur of a gesture. It's about I see you. I'm nurturing you and I see you so deeply, and I love being able to see your growth. And of all things, it's making me emotional.
I have full body chills right now.
For them to be able to look back and go, oh my gosh, she has loved us so much.
Oh, you know what's going on. Someone wanted a lot of attention, and now they got it.
That was the whole episode.
That was the ep.
Yeah.
Asterisk, Meghan Markle critically, but not before Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly launched what can only be described as a scorched earth podcast blitz that left no soft focus or sorrowful soundtrack untouched. This wasn't just a critique, it was a demolition. One of America's most sarcastic minds, and one of its sharpest media critics, independently dropped their truth bombs with enough synchronized fury to detonate the entire mythos of Meghan's tearful podcast moment. Was it genuine grief or just another royal performance choreographed to manipulate emotion and monetize trauma? Either way, the internet raised an eyebrow, so did these two media gladiators. Prepare for a masterclass in mockery, a symphony of skepticism, and yes, a thorough forensic analysis of a single missing tear. What really happened behind Meghan's latest emotional audio monologue? Buckle up, because this takedown doesn't just sting.
You like her.
Well, let me count the ways. There's nothing I like about her. She is a malignant narcissist who cannot get enough of herself while she simultaneously plays the victim. My castle's too small. The queen is mean to me. They won't let me call myself Her Royal Highness anymore, but I'm going to put it all over my stationery and on the gifts that I give to my friends, while she never stops whining. And at the same time, I'm getting all worked up. I'm a founder. I'm over it. She's not important. She married for money. It's very clear. She bagged the elephant. She was thrilled.
So, the Duchess of Sussex cried. Or at least, that's the story she's selling this season. Picture it: dim lighting, a carefully arranged mic setup, ambient piano music softly plinking in the background like it's scored by Hans Zimmer's Intern, and Meghan's ever-measured voice breaking just enough to suggest heartbreak, but not enough to risk mascara streaks. Each syllable is spaced out like she's waiting for applause or a charitable endorsement deal to slide in mid-sentence. It wasn't so much a confession as it was a casting tape. The camera may not have been rolling, but the production values were sky-high. One might assume she broke down. But what really happened was more like a live reading of sadness, the deluxe media edition, with the volume turned up and the authenticity left behind.
All of that with the way she talks about H and their relationship. Here is it. Is it 46 or 47, Lauren? You choose. Go for it. 47.
That his heart is
All right,
even
this
more
is
beautiful.
I love that your eyes are sparkling right now.
Oh.
Oh my God. Dan, I threw up
See
in
how
my
the voice
mouth.
made up? Yes. Yes.
Dan, when you do interviews on your show, do you do the Jamie Kern Lima reactions? Yes. Oh my God, there's something wrong with her. What? Wow, who communicates like that? She's the only thing saving Meghan Markle, because between the two, she's even weirder. But Meghan Markle, this is a tell. Okay, this is a tell. It's the same way on Valentine's Day. You see people post like, my rock, my life partner, the person who saved me. Guarantee that guy is cheating on her.
Asterisk, enter the skeptics. Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly, two media powerhouses who wouldn't trust a weather forecast from Meghan, let alone a conveniently timed emotional detonation on the eve of a brand relaunch. They didn't co-host or compare notes. They didn't need to. Their individual reactions combined like a comedic-laced sonic boom. Joe brought the eyebrow raises and snarky laughter. Meghan brought the scalpel, a whiteboard, and possibly a courtroom stenographer. Together, it felt like watching two different wrecking balls take turns knocking down the same overly stylized royal PR shed, one with a grin, the other with receipts. It was a tag team roast without a single punch pulled.
Okay, how much time did she have for this when she was on Suits, when she was doing the Tig, when she was trying to land the ginger from the royal family to marry her? Apparently none, by her own admission, but now she wants us to believe Okay, I'm Nigerian and I'll believe it when I see it. I look forward to all the time she spends in Nigeria helping the Nigerian people.
Full disclosure, I do think Harry's a but,
Well, he seems to be. And it seems like that lady is a temptress. She's a siren. She's lured him into the rock.
Asterisk, first up, Joe Rogan, the philosopher turned fist-bumping psychologist whose greatest hits include breaking down political hypocrisy and protein powder in equal measure. In a recent podcast, Joe didn't mention Meghan by name. He didn't need to. He tossed out comments about fake podcast emotions with such precision that Meghan's podcast practically shivered in its ergonomic studio chair. He questioned the epidemic of crickcasting. Why has every microphone turned into a confession booth? Who decided that the audio version of sobbing now qualifies as a spiritual TED Talk? Joe, in his classic style, broke it all down, tearing through the artifice like it was made of tofu and talk points. He dissected performative grief with the glee of someone popping bubble wrap, one exaggerated sniffle at a time.
it's very strange.
But it's also very strange that he was, essentially infiltrated by a very ambitious actress. She used to be on
Was
Deal or
he
No
infiltrated?
Deal. She was one of the
Is
Deal or
that
No Deal
technically
ladies.
the way it works? Is he
I think
infiltrated
so.
or was she infiltrated?
Well, it depends on who's
Yeah.
getting pegged.
Yeah.
It depends on the methods.
And now
Yeah,
you can't.
Look, she was on Deal or No Deal.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, with the briefcase.
She didn't like being objectified on Deal. Did you think it was an executive position, ma'am?
Yeah.
You're one of the hot ladies holding up a suitcase. For fucking, it's a game show. How are you objectified?
I forgot about that show.
That's literally the
Asterisk, according to Joe, emotional monologues on podcasts are becoming the new reality TV interviews, high on production, low on sincerity. Why is it that vulnerability now requires a lighting crew and a sound engineer? Meghan's episode ticked all the expected boxes. The hushed tones, the shaky breath, the long pauses meant to feel spontaneous but clearly timed like a TikTok transition. Yet, the piece de resistance was the conspicuous absence of a single tear. If there were awards for audio crying, Meghan would have won Best Actress in a fictional breakdown. Joe argued that when you're producing your own breakdown, directing your own camera angles, and editing in your vocal tremble post-recording, you've probably crossed the line from authentic to audiobook actor. And in classic Rogan fashion, he didn't just analyze it, he laughed, he guffawed, he chuckled at the idea that people actually bought it. The whole thing became a stand-up set meets psychological dissection, and Meghan's podcast became the prime example of an influencer industry that's more invested in optics than honesty. Next voice, asterisk. But while Joe fired up the sarcasm flamethrower, Megyn Kelly came in like a surgical strike. If Joe was the comedian pointing out the absurdity, Meghan was the prosecutor presenting the case. She didn't allude, she accused. She didn't imply, she demonstrated. Meghan pointed to the podcast with the same level of suspicion usually reserved for fake CVS and manipulated evidence. She scrutinized every second of Meghan's emotional moment like it was part of a deposition. No tears, no sniffles, not even the dignified collapse of someone genuinely overwhelmed. Just a crystal clear voice breaking on cue and a lighting scheme better suited for a fragrance commercial. Meghan went full forensic pathologist on the Duchess's dramatics, concluding not vulnerability but scripting, down to the breathy pauses that somehow felt more edited than heartfelt.
She is the most insecure person I have seen in the public eye in a long time. That is why everything had to be perfectly curated. Who the hell picks berries in a white cashmere blouse and white pants? Literally no one on earth does that. And like this garden, which is like the most over the top, like we're all supposed to go, Maureen, to make our breakfast in the morning out to our gardens and pick our berries, our raspberries, our strawberries, our blueberries, our snozberries, and cut our mint, and then cut our flowers that are edible. But don't worry, she's a woman of the people. You can grow those just on your windowsill at home.
Sure.
In New York, your edible flowers.
And don't forget your local beekeeper.
Yeah.
Your local beekeeper.
Oh yeah, because she has a bee hive, which she goes to. That's how they open the whole series with her bees. And like, don't worry, if you don't have this, just go to your local beekeeper. Clearly we're living in different.
Asterisk, and then Megyn Kelly connected the dots and, oh, what a web they wove. The podcast's emotional breakdown didn't happen in isolation. It arrived just in time to kick off a new branding cycle. Funny how Megyn always finds a moment of vulnerability exactly when her name needs a little sparkle in the trending tabs. Social media caught on fast. Reddit detectives armed with side-by-side stills zoomed in on Megyn's dry eyes, dissecting her face like a CSI episode. Theories flooded in, memes exploded. A few even speculated whether a bottle of artificial tears was just off camera, waiting for its cue. Meanwhile, Twitter turned into a snark festival, drawing straight lines from Megyn's soul-bearing podcast to the slick PR graphics that launched within hours. Subtle. Not quite. Coincidence. About as likely as a royal family reunion group.
The only thing she found was a rich, famous husband. If that's what constitutes being a founder, then sure, Meghan Markle's a founder. She found a mansion in Montecito to live in. She found a sit-down interview with Oprah to bash and shank her in-laws and accuse them of racism. But founding, putting your name on some cheap jellies, jams, and dog biscuits, I don't know, sounds like a fall from...
Asterisk, this wasn't catharsis. This was choreography. Megyn didn't cry out of anguish. She released a teaser trailer for Tragedy, the monetized podcast special. Joe and Megyn, unknowingly united in their critique, didn't have to coordinate. They instinctively landed on the same conclusion that this entire performance was a branded vulnerability rollout. Joe offered his usual mix of raised eyebrows and bro-cynicism, while Megyn delivered a masterclass in media dissection. Together, they turned a royal PR puff piece into a case study in emotional manipulation. Megyn didn't need to trigger the public's empathy, she needed to spark engagement. She's gone from Duchess to content strategist, orchestrating her brand arc with more plot lines than a season of Succession. And every act includes a breakdown that never quite breaks.
I'm a little bit fascinated, right? The mother was born in America, the father was born in America, but Megyn is now telling us that she's 43% Nigerian?
This is the most ridiculous. This is the same woman who said, I never even considered my blackness until the British tabloids started to make a thing out of it. Never even. Now she's like, I am Nigeria. Fellow women, hear me roar. I mean, who is she?
Asterisk here's the core of the backlash. It's not that Megyn told a story. It's that the story came in gift wrap and a bow, with mood lighting and a Spotify thumbnail. What irks the public isn't the pain, it's the polish. The meticulously curated sadness. The emotional beats. That aligned just a little too perfectly with promotional timetables. If she really wanted rawness, she could have spoken into an iPhone at 2 a.m. instead. We got a cinematic monologue so glossy it could double as a skincare ad. And while Joe chuckled at the absurdity and Megyn dissected the contradictions, both exposed the underlying truth. We weren't witnessing a human moment. We were being pitched a brand update. Meghan Markle, once again, confused personal struggle with product placement.
This is a true story. One time, I just woke up, I'm in my underwear, I plop down in front of the TV, I turn it on. The moment I turn it on, Prince Harry's talking shit about me. I'm like, I just woke up! I'm vulnerable! I'm in my underwear and there's a prince on TV. Do you know how fucking weird it is when a prince knows your name? He's like, Joe Rogan's giving out dangerous vaccine misinformation! And my first thought was, fuck, did I? I might have. But here's my take on that, sincerely. If you're getting your vaccine advice from me, is that really my...
Asterisk, and just when you thought this media melodrama couldn't get more operatic. Along came the unexpected pairing of Rogan and Kelly the peanut butter, and pickles of podcast critique. Different styles. Same result. Joe, ever the casual wrecking ball, dismantled the royal pity narrative without even raising his voice. Megyn, with the energy of a lawyer cross-examining a reality show, put the emotional timeline on trial. One laughed, one litigated, but both arrived at the same destination. Meghan Markle's breakdown had a script supervisor. Joe's smirk alone was enough to puncture the myth. He didn't yell fake, he whispered it with a smirk so heavy, the internet could feel the eye roll. And Megyn. She basically turned Spotify into the scene of the crime, and Megyn into the prime suspect.
Who's also acting as a founder, inspired this scene from the With Love Megyn Megyn, Maureen and I, before we did Blonde Origin. And here's a clip from that special production.
Where are you getting all these like mini brainstorms? I'm so impressed by this.
You have to be a founder to really, I guess, understand it fully, but Maybe in the next wave of our friendship, I'll try to explain it to you. Hold that tight, please.
Okay.
This, of course, didn't come out of the ether. I want to play for you the latest bit from her podcast, which is called Confessions of a Female Founder. Here she is.
I think about big milestones for my own business with As Ever. I mean, Netflix coming on as my business partner, huge. Just having a global powerhouse that believed in me, and the site selling out in the first 45 minutes of launch, every single piece that we had been working on, that told me that customers, people believed in me and this vision. That's all you really want as a founder.
The only thing she found
Just call out the performance. She plotted it against the calendar, matched it to Spotify's PR strategy, and then walked her audience through every suspicious second like she was presenting exhibits A through Z in a courtroom drama. This wasn't about Meghan's feelings. This was about conversion rates. The tears, or lack thereof, weren't spontaneous, they were scheduled. And both Rogan and Kelly saw through the choreography. They called it what it was. A marketing campaign dressed as a breakdown. The kind of faux empowerment content that's built to trend, not to heal. And while the average listener might have reached for tissues, Joe and Meghan grabbed magnifying glasses and popcorn. They weren't moved. They were mildly appalled, thoroughly entertained.
Out with Meghan and Harry since
No.
they've been in California.
No, I don't know them.
What do you think of them?
I admire Harry for going to Afghanistan. Anybody who's had military
Yeah, I agree.
service, I can only criticize so much because I haven't. And there's nothing that compares to military service. But they're ridiculous after that. They want it both ways. You know, you can't be, these people were so mean to us and poor us, and we don't want all this attention, and then let me write a book about how much we don't want it.
Now picture this. A dimly lit banquet hall, glimmering with faux compassion and candlelight. Somewhere, a PR intern cues a single tear to glide down a cheek while Meghan poses as the heroine of her own prestige podcast series. This isn't about mocking sadness, it's about exposing when sadness becomes strategy. When emotion is no longer a reflection of truth, but a calculated move in a never-ending rebrand. Meghan didn't blur the line between pain and promotion, she turned it into a business model. And the punchline. The tears never came. Not one, but don't worry, because somewhere, a lone acting coach is probably shedding a tear knot for Meghan. But for what could have been a great performance if only it had come with actual crying. The royal family may deal in crowns, but Meghan deals in content hand. This latest chapter played out like the pilot of a podcast drama that forgot to cast a believable lead. Rogan smelled the fakery like it was elk jerky gone bad. Meghan hunted down the edits like a bloodhound in a courtroom. And, once again, Meghan Markle reminded the world that no one does curated chaos quite like a duchess with a microphone.